The previous week, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria announced the introduction of a new currency series where the existing denominations of 50 naira, 100 naira, 200, 500 and 1000 naira will be redesigned and a new note of 5,000 naira introduced. Well, after the shockwave of that announcement by Mr. Sanusi Lamido began to wear off, there were mixed reactions from economic and financial experts, as well as the common man on the street. Our correspondent Bolaji Akinwale captured the prevailing arguments in this next report.
Yeah, assuming somebody bought something and I'm with 5,000 naira, along the line I misuse the 5,000, or if I didn't see the 5,000 naira again, it's a very big money.
This is one of the reactions that greeted the announcement of the planned introduction of the new 5,000 naira note. Others sound like it.
The money is too high because the money is too high. If they continue with all these kind of things now as present, it will make you go to the market, you will see everything will be increased more again. Salary matter, to pay people's salary will be increased again.
Despite all of these reactions, the central bank maintains that the decision to introduce the high-denominated note is part of measures to implement its monetary policy. Analysts have raised various issues in the policy that could affect the CBN decision. These range from inflationary pressures, inconsistent pricing of goods and services, as well as reduction in the volume of cash in the system. An economist, Godwin Adedikpe, says that the downside of the policy may exceed the benefits.
Higher denominations will make a lot of sense when you need to carry a lot of cash, and therefore you want to reduce the volume that you carry. So which means also you look at the production cost of it and say, if I have to produce fewer notes because the denominations are higher, then the cost to me will be much lower than when I have to produce lower denominations but in larger quantities that matches the volume of transactions. So in which case, one would say the assumption behind this will be that central bank is saying that, look, we need to have more cash around.
However, another economist, Bismarck Rwani, thinks otherwise.
To be honest with you, it's just another denomination of the currency. What does it do? It makes the currency more portable, it makes transactions easier, it makes the velocity of circulation higher. In fact, it increases the trade flows of the country.
While the dust surrounding the Apex Bank's planned move is just beginning to rise, it may take a while before it settles as the central bank takes on the responsibility to convince the banking public about this latest move. Bolaji Akinwale, reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, indeed, almost every segment of the Nigerian society weighed in on that raging argument, and the question here today is that in this matter, who should have the final say? Well, to examine this question, I'm being joined on the program by a public policy analyst, Alhaji Galtima Liman, quite a very familiar face too.
It's a pleasure.
Well, thanks for joining us, and also a legal practitioner with a bias for economics, Mr. Ikechukwu Ikeji. Thanks for joining us on Politics Today.
My pleasure.
Well, gentlemen, never before has the introduction of, currency, a new denomination, attracted such a passionate backlash from not just the common man on the street, some financial and economic experts and all that. Now, either it was before now it was either welcomed with enthusiasm or at best with some measure of curiosity. But this time around, it's different. I mean, it seems to have received such very, very negative publicity in this case. So, I mean, to address this particular question of who should have the final say, let's start by saying that beyond economic and financial logic, the fears of the common man, remember the man who talked about, having, 30,000 naira salary and then losing 2 of those notes, and then what will happen? Are the fears of the common man really justified when you have 5,000 naira notes introduced into the Nigerian currency? Let's start with the lawyer.
Well, I think the fears of the common man is quite justified, I must say, right away. We have to be historical here and cast our minds back to antecedents. We've had the denomination of some notes into coins, and as we speak, we can't find the coins. Even the banks don't deal with the coins. You can't see them out there. There's nothing you can buy or afford with the coins. Invariably, it means that apart from the upper end, in terms of the 5,000 naira notes, the lower end also creates problem, because you find that those people who need to spend these smaller sums don't find it to spend. And as such, you find that the least note that is available becomes, naturally the least cost of items in the market. Absolutely. It is clear. You don't need to be an economist to know it. It's there out there in the society.
But one of the economic analysts, Mr. Bismarck Rwanda, said, it's just another note. 5,000 naira, 1,000 naira, 500 naira. It's more or less, the smallest unit is 1 naira, so that's where it starts from. So what's the big deal? 5,000 naira. Alaji Liman.
Well, if you had looked at the economic history of countries like Germany, where post the World War, they had to have wheelbarrow load of Dutch mark at that material time to buy a packet of cigarette. That's the kind of fear that the average person that knows about increasing the size of a nation's currency begins to fear that, look, maybe the economy is going into tubes. Maybe because you need a lot more to buy a piece of bread. And so that's the kind of anxiety that is creating. And for a lot of economists, when you begin to have bigger and bigger denomination, there is this palpable fear that the fundamentals are not working very well. I remember way back in the early 1990s, I was in Cardiff then. Went to see some of our staff who are undergoing training, and I happened to bring out 50 pounds sterling, in a supermarket, and the students came rushing and said, "Sir, it's not done here. It's a huge amount of money here. Just 50,000. 50 pounds sterling. 50 pounds sterling." So you can imagine when you begin to have 5,000
sorry, what year did you say that was?
That was 1992. 1992.
So within
exactly.
living memory.
Yeah, within memory, and it's just 50 pounds. So when 50 pounds is being seen, the 50 pounds denomination is being seen as a very, very huge money. It tells you how resilient the economy is. So the real fear is that when you begin to now have 5,000 naira denomination, you may end up having 50,000 naira denomination, because the fundamentals are not playing themselves out very well.